We summoned Bloody Mary in the mirror, something appeared. You know that feeling when you're alone in the bathroom at 3 a.m., and you catch your own reflection in the mirror, and for just a split second, you're not entirely sure that's you looking back? Yeah, that feeling. Now imagine if that split second never ended. Imagine if what you saw in that mirror wasn't your reflection at all, but something else. Something that had been waiting for you to call its name. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about, we summoned Bloody Mary in the mirror, something appeared. And if this video helps you understand why you should never, ever play certain games, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and drop a like. Trust me, you'll want to remember where you heard this. Look, we've all heard about Bloody Mary, right? It's that game every kid learns at sleepovers. You go into the bathroom, turn off the lights, spin around 3 times while chanting Bloody Mary into the mirror, and supposedly, she appears. Some vengeful spirit with a taste for teenage blood and a serious grudge against mirrors. Most people think it's just folklore. An urban legend. Something to scare your little sister with. Here's what most people don't realize. Every legend starts somewhere. And this one has roots that go deeper and darker than you could possibly imagine. Now you might be thinking, come on Nick, it's just a kid's game. Nothing actually happens. And you'd be right, most of the time. But I'm not here to talk about most of the time. I'm here to tell you about what happened to Sarah Mears in the winter of 1998, in a small town called Ravenswood, Illinois. Ravenswood was one of those towns where nothing ever happened. Population, 2,300. 1 high school. 2 churches. 3 bars. The kind of place where everyone knew everyone, and the biggest news of the week was who won the Friday night football game. Sarah Mears, yes, that was actually her last name, and yes, the irony is not lost on anyone, was 17 years old. Honor student. Cheerleader. The kind of girl who had her whole life planned out. Northwestern University, pre-med, then medical school. She was rational. Logical. The last person you'd expect to mess around with occult games. But here's the thing about teenage girls. Peer pressure is a hell of a drug. It was January 23, 1998. Friday night. Sarah was hosting a sleepover with her 3 best friends. Rebecca Chin, Amanda Torres, and Jennifer Matthews. They'd rented movies, ordered pizza, done their nails, the usual sleepover stuff. Around 11 p.m., Rebecca brought it up. Hey, have you guys ever played Bloody Mary? Sarah rolled her eyes. That's for middle schoolers, Becca. I'm serious, Rebecca insisted. My cousin in Chicago said her friend did it and she actually saw something. Like for real. She said the mirror cracked and everything. Amanda laughed. Your cousin's friend sounds like she was high. Come on, Jennifer chimed in. What's the worst that could happen? We get scared and scream a little? That's the whole point of sleepovers. Now, Sarah should have said no. She should have suggested they just watch another movie. But she didn't want to seem like a buzzkill. Like she was too scared. So she said yes. They gathered in Sarah's upstairs bathroom. It was a small space, probably 6 feet by 8 feet, with mint green tiles that Sarah's mother had installed in the 80s and never bothered to update. A single mirror hung above the sink, framed in brass that had started to tarnish. The 4 girls crowded inside. Amanda held a single candle, the only light in the room. Okay, Rebecca said, her voice dropping to a whisper. The way my cousin explained it, you have to say, Bloody Mary, 13 times, not 3. And you have to mean it. Like, you have to actually want to see her. That's stupid, Sarah muttered. But her heart was already beating faster. They turned off the lights. The candle flickered, casting long shadows across the bathroom walls. Everyone has to say it together, Rebecca instructed. Ready? Here's what the police report would later note. All 4 girls participated willingly. No coercion. No drugs or alcohol in their systems. Just 4 teenage girls playing a game they didn't fully understand. They began to chant, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. By the 7th repetition, Amanda's voice started shaking. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. On the 10th repetition, Jennifer said she felt cold. Not just regular cold, that bone-deep, unnatural cold that has nothing to do with temperature and everything to do with presence. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. The 13th repetition hung in the air like smoke. And then, nothing happened. The girls looked at each other. Amanda giggled nervously. See? Nothing. Just a stupid. The candle went out. Complete darkness. Now, what happened next is where the accounts start to diverge. Each girl remembers something slightly different, but they all agree on certain details. In the darkness, they heard breathing. Not their own, something else. Something that sounded wet and ragged, like lungs that had been damaged or hadn't been used in a very long time. Turn on the light, Sarah whispered. No one moved. Turn on the light, she said again, louder. Jennifer fumbled for the light switch. Her hands were shaking so badly it took 3 tries. When the lights came on, they all saw it. In the mirror. Not in the bathroom with them, in the mirror. Rebecca would later describe it as a woman, but wrong. Like someone had tried to draw a woman from memory but got all the proportions slightly off. Amanda said it looked like it was made of smoke and shadow, but with eyes that were too real, too aware. Jennifer couldn't describe it at all. She just kept saying it wasn't human over and over. But Sarah saw something different. She saw herself. Or rather, she saw what looked like herself, but with an expression she'd never made. A smile that was too wide, too knowing. And in the reflection's eyes, she saw something that made her blood run cold. She saw recognition. Like whatever was in that mirror had been waiting for her specifically. Get out, Sarah said quietly. What? Rebecca turned to look at her. Get out. Sarah screamed. The girls ran. They tumbled out of the bathroom, down the stairs, and didn't stop until they were outside in the front yard, gasping in the freezing January air. Behind them, they heard a sound from the upstairs bathroom. The sound of breaking glass. Now you might be thinking, okay, they got scared. They freaked themselves out. That's all. And Sarah's parents thought the same thing. When they came home an hour later and found the bathroom mirror cracked, a single fracture running from top to bottom like a lightning bolt, they assumed one of the girls had accidentally broken it and was too scared to admit it. Sarah's father replaced the mirror the next day. A brand new one from Home Depot. Nothing special about it. The girls didn't talk about what happened. They had an unspoken agreement to pretend it never occurred. But things started changing for Sarah almost immediately. First, it was small things. She'd catch movement in mirrors out of the corner of her eye. Just for a second. Just enough to make her turn and look, but there'd be nothing there. Then she started having trouble sleeping. She'd wake up at 3:17 a.m. every night, the exact time they'd finished the ritual, with the feeling that someone was watching her. She moved her bedroom mirror into the closet. Then she covered all the reflective surfaces in her room, her laptop screen, the glass of her picture frames, even the doorknob. Her friends noticed the change. Sarah, who had been so confident and put together, started showing up to school with dark circles under her eyes. She stopped wearing makeup, too much time looking in mirrors. She let her grades slip. Are you okay? Rebecca asked her one day in February, about 3 weeks after the incident. Sarah looked at her with hollow eyes. Do you still see it? In mirrors? Rebecca's blood went cold. No. Do you? Sarah didn't answer. She just walked away. Here's what really interesting. Sarah wasn't the only one experiencing things. Amanda Torres started having nightmares. Every single night, she'd dream about drowning. She'd wake up gasping, her throat raw like she'd actually been screaming underwater. In the dreams, she said, she'd see a woman holding her under. A woman with a face she could never quite remember when she woke up. Jennifer Matthews became obsessed with research. She spent hours in the library. Remember, this was 1998, before Google made everything easy, digging through books about folklore, urban legends, and local history. What she found made her wish she'd never looked. The name Bloody Mary doesn't refer to just one person. It's actually an amalgamation of several different legends from different cultures. Some say it's Mary the First of England, Bloody Mary, who persecuted Protestants. Others say it's Mary Worth, a woman accused of witchcraft in the 1800s. Still others claim it's connected to Mary Wales, a woman who supposedly died in front of a mirror. But Jennifer found something else. Something specific to Ravenswood. In 1952, a woman named Mary Sinclair had lived in the house that Sarah's house was built on. The property had been torn down and rebuilt in 1965, but the foundation was the same. Mary Sinclair had been 34 years old, a schoolteacher, unmarried, which was unusual for the time. She lived alone, kept to herself. On March 15, 1952, Mary Sinclair was found dead in her bathroom. The official cause of death was listed as accidental drowning in bathtub. But here's where it gets interesting. The bathroom door had been locked from the inside. The bathtub was indeed filled with water. But Mary Sinclair's body was found on the floor, not in the tub. And her face. The police report noted severe lacerations to facial area, origin unknown. Like something had clawed at her face while she looked in the mirror. The case was closed as an accident. No one asked too many questions in 1952. When Jennifer showed Sarah the old newspaper articles she'd photocopied from the library archives, Sarah went white as a sheet. "She lived on my property," Sarah whispered. "The bathroom. That's where they found her. That's probably where my bathroom is now." "Sarah, it's just a coincidence," Jennifer tried to reassure her. But neither of them really believed that. By March 1998, 2 months after the ritual, Sarah was falling apart. She refused to use any bathroom with a mirror. At school, she'd use the nurse's office bathroom where she'd taped paper over the mirror. At home, her parents had removed every mirror from the house after finding Sarah one night, standing in the hallway, staring at her covered reflection and whispering something they couldn't make out. She lost 15 pounds. Her hair started falling out from stress. She stopped going to cheer practice, stopped doing her homework, stopped caring about Northwestern or medical school or anything beyond getting through each day. Her parents took her to a therapist. Dr. Patricia Holden had been practicing in Ravenswood for 20 years and had seen plenty of teenage anxiety. But she'd never seen anything like Sarah Mirrors. "She's experiencing severe dissociative episodes," Dr. Holden told Sarah's parents after the 3rd session. "She keeps talking about seeing the wrong reflection. She's convinced there's something in mirrors that's specifically looking for her." "Is it schizophrenia?" Sarah's mother asked, terrified. "I don't think so," Dr. Holden said carefully. "Her thought patterns are logical. She's not hearing voices or experiencing delusions about other aspects of reality. It's specifically focused on mirrors and reflections. More like a severe phobia with obsessive components." She prescribed medication. Anti-anxiety pills. Something to help Sarah sleep. Sarah refused to take them. "You don't understand," she told Dr. Holden. "If I sleep too deeply, I won't wake up when it comes." "When what comes, Sarah?" "Mary. She's trying to cross over. She's using the mirrors. Every time I look, she's a little bit closer." Now, Dr. Holden noted all of this in her files. Files that would later be examined by police, by journalists, by everyone trying to understand what happened. Because on March 23, 1998, exactly 2 months after the ritual, Sarah Mirrors disappeared. It was a Monday night. Sarah's parents were downstairs watching TV. Sarah had said she was going to bed early. She'd been going to bed at 7 p.m. every night, trying to avoid being awake at 3:17 a.m. At 9 p.m., Sarah's mother went upstairs to check on her. Sarah's bedroom door was open. The lights were on. Sarah was gone. Her window was closed and locked from the inside. Nothing was missing, not her phone, not her wallet, not her coat. Her shoes were still by the door. The only thing disturbed was the closet door, which stood open. Inside the closet, the mirror that Sarah had stored there, The mirror she'd removed from her wall was facing outward. And on the surface of that mirror, written in what looked like condensation, was a single word: found. The police searched everywhere. They dredged the local pond. They questioned everyone Sarah knew. They brought in cadaver dogs, searched the woods, put her face on the news. Nothing. Sarah Mears had vanished as completely as if she'd never existed. But Rebecca, Amanda, and Jennifer knew. They knew where Sarah had gone. She'd gone through. The investigation into Sarah's disappearance lasted 6 months. During that time, some very strange things happened in Ravenswood. 7 different households reported mirrors breaking spontaneously. Always at night. Always with the same pattern, a single crack running vertically through the center. A woman named Carol Henderson called the police at 2 a.m., hysterical, claiming she'd seen Sarah Mears standing in my bathroom mirror, but she looked wrong, like she was underwater. The police dismissed it as hysteria. Small town, missing girl, people's imaginations running wild. But then there was the incident at Ravenswood High School. A janitor named Thomas Riley was cleaning the girls' bathroom on the 2nd floor, the one that had been closed for maintenance, but was really closed because too many students reported feeling watched when they used it. Thomas was mopping the floor at around 11 p.m. when he heard a voice behind him. "Help me." He spun around. No one there. Then he looked in the mirror above the sinks. In the reflection, standing behind him, was Sarah Mears. But not the Sarah from the photographs and missing person posters. This Sarah was pale, waterlogged, her clothes dripping even though the reflection showed dry tile floor. Her hair hung in wet strands across her face. And when she spoke, Thomas said her voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. "Help me," she said again. "She won't let me leave." "Who won't?" Thomas asked the mirror, because he was too terrified to do anything else. Sarah's reflection lifted one hand and pressed it against the inside of the glass, like someone trapped behind a window. "Mary," she whispered. "Mary won't let any of us leave." "Any of you?" Thomas repeated. Sarah's reflection looked over her shoulder, at something Thomas couldn't see in the mirror world. "We're all here," Sarah said. "Everyone who called her name. Everyone who opened the door. We're all trapped in the in-between, in the reflection. And she's so hungry, and she keeps looking through our eyes, trying to find a way to cross over, to become real again too." The bathroom door slammed shut. All 7 mirrors in the bathroom cracked simultaneously with a sound like gunshots. Thomas ran. He quit his job the next day and moved to Wisconsin. The police report listed it as probable mental breakdown and property damage of unknown origin. The school sealed that bathroom permanently. Jennifer Matthews never stopped researching. She couldn't. She felt responsible. She'd been there that night. She'd chanted the name. She'd helped open whatever door they'd opened. In the summer of 1998, she traveled to Chicago to visit the city's main library, which had more extensive historical records. What she found changed everything. Mary Sinclair hadn't been just a schoolteacher. She'd been part of a group in the 1940s that studied what they called mirror scrying, the practice of using mirrors to communicate with spirits. The group had disbanded in 1951 after several members reported disturbing experiences. But Mary had continued alone. Her journals, which had been donated to the Historical Society by a distant cousin, described her attempts to achieve permanent crossing. She believed that mirrors weren't just reflective surfaces. They were thin places, boundaries between our world and another world. A world of reflections and shadows and things that looked like us but weren't us. She believed she could cross over, exist on both sides simultaneously. Her last journal entry, dated March 14, 1952, the day before her death, read, "Tonight I will complete the ritual. I've said my true name 13 times in 13 different mirrors across 13 nights. Tonight, the 13th mirror, I will say it the 13th time and I will finally understand. I will finally cross over and bring back proof of what lies beyond. Tomorrow I will show them all." There was no entry for March 15th. Because that was the day Mary Sinclair was found dead on her bathroom floor, her face destroyed, the mirror above her sink cracked in a pattern that looked almost like a hand reaching through. The coroner's report noted something strange that hadn't made it into the newspapers. Mary's body showed signs of drowning, water in her lungs, foam in her airways, but there wasn't enough water in the bathtub to drown in. It was as if she drowned in some other water, some other place. Jennifer realized the horrible truth. Mary Sinclair had succeeded. She'd crossed over, but she couldn't come back. So she'd been trapped there in the in-between, in the world of reflections for 46 years. Waiting, watching, looking through every mirror, every reflective surface, waiting for someone to say her name and open the door just wide enough for her to reach through. Aunt Sarah Mirrors and her friends had given her exactly what she needed. After Sarah's disappearance, Rebecca Chin and Amanda Torres tried to move on with their lives. They graduated high school in 1999. They went to different colleges. They tried to forget. But in the world of mirror games and urban legends, there's a rule. Once you open the door, it's very hard to close. Rebecca started seeing Sarah in reflections. Not just mirrors, any reflective surface. The screen of her laptop. The window of her dorm room at night. The surface of her coffee. Always the same image. Sarah, pale and waterlogged, pressing her hand against the inside of the glass. Mouthing words Rebecca couldn't hear. Rebecca stopped using mirrors entirely. She cropped her hair short so she wouldn't have to style it. She wore the same clothes every day so she wouldn't have to think about how she looked. In 2003, 5 years after Sarah's disappearance, Rebecca was found dead in her apartment in Boston. The official cause of death was drowning. She was found in her bedroom, nowhere near water. Her lungs were full of fluid. Her skin had the wrinkled appearance of someone who'd been submerged for hours. But the apartment was dry. No water anywhere. Except for the mirror. The full-length mirror in her bedroom was covered in condensation, dripping water onto the carpet. And written in that condensation, the same word that had been found in Sarah's closet. Found. Amanda Torres lasted longer. She made it to 2007. She'd become a journalist, moved to New York, married a man named David, had a daughter. She thought she'd escaped. But you can't escape mirrors. They're everywhere. In bathrooms, in elevators, in stores, in cars. Every reflective surface is a potential doorway. Amanda had told her husband about what happened in Ravenswood, about the ritual, about Sarah. He'd been understanding but skeptical. He thought it was trauma, survivor's guilt, anxiety. Until the night he woke up at 3:17 a.m. and found Amanda standing in their bathroom, staring into the mirror, having a conversation with someone he couldn't see. "I understand," Amanda was saying. "I know. Yes, I'll bring her. I promise. Just please don't hurt them. Don't hurt my family. I'll come willingly if you just leave them alone." "Amanda?" David called from the doorway. Amanda turned to look at him, and David later told police that his wife's eyes looked wrong. Like she was looking at me from very far away. Or like she was underwater. "I have to go," Amanda said. "She found me. Mary found me. And she wants. Amanda looked back at the mirror. In the reflection, David said he saw his wife. But he also saw something else. Something standing behind the reflected Amanda. Something that looked like a woman, but wrong, with a face that seemed to shift and blur. And then Amanda walked into the mirror. Not through it, into it. Like it was a doorway. Like the glass was suddenly liquid. There was a ripple, like water disturbed by a stone. And Amanda Torres was gone. David lunged forward, pounded on the mirror. Solid glass. No doorway. No wife. The only thing left was condensation forming words. The circle closes. Jennifer Matthews is the only one left. She's 38 years old now. She never married. Never had kids. Never stopped researching. She lives in Ravenswood still. In a house with no mirrors. In 2019, she published a blog post that went viral in certain corners of the internet. The corners where people discuss urban legends and paranormal experiences and things that can't be explained. The post was titled, "I opened a door I couldn't close." In it, she detailed everything I've told you. The ritual, Sarah's disappearance, Rebecca's and Amanda's deaths, Mary Sinclair's history. But she also included something else. A warning. She wrote, "If you've ever played the Bloody Mary game, you need to understand something. You didn't just scare yourself. You didn't just experience a creepy moment. You opened a door. Mary Sinclair is still there in the in-between. She's still trapped in the world of reflections. And every time someone says her name, Bloody Mary, they create a crack in the wall between worlds. Most of the time it's not enough. The crack closes. You get scared, you run away, nothing happens. But sometimes, if the conditions are right, if the person is right, if the mirror is right, she gets through. And when she does, she takes you back with her. Because she's lonely. Because she's been trapped alone for 70 years. Because she needs others like her, people who opened the door, people who spoke the name, people who belong in the in-between now. Sarah called me last week. I know how that sounds, but I'm telling you the truth. My phone rang at 3:17 a.m. The caller ID said mirror. I answered it because I'm a fool, because part of me has always wanted to know what happened to her. Her voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. But it was her. It was Sarah. "Jennifer," she said. "You're the last one. The last one who was there that night. Mary says the circle needs to close. She says 4 girls open the door and 4 girls need to stay." "I'm not coming," I told her. "You don't have a choice," Sarah said. "She's already looking for you. Every mirror you pass, she's watching. Every reflection, she's closer. You can't hide from mirrors forever, Jennifer. Eventually, you'll have to look." And then, before she hung up, Sarah said one more thing. "Tell people to stop playing the game. Tell them to stop saying her name. Every time someone does, she gets stronger. Every time someone opens that door, she gets closer to crossing over for real. And if she ever makes it all the way through, if Mary Sinclair ever becomes real again." The line went dead. I'm writing this now as a warning, as a confession, as a last attempt to close the door we opened 21 years ago. Don't play the game. Don't say the name. Don't look in mirrors at 3 a.m. Don't do rituals you don't understand. Because some doors, once opened, can never truly be closed. And some things in mirrors are looking back. Jennifer's blog post was shared thousands of times. Most people thought it was creative fiction, a good scary story. But others knew better. In the comments section, dozens of people shared their own experiences, their own encounters with Bloody Mary, with mirrors that showed things that shouldn't be there, with reflections that moved wrong. And then, 3 weeks after the post went viral, Jennifer Matthews disappeared. She was last seen on December 15, 2019, at 11 p.m. at home. Her neighbor reported seeing lights on in Jennifer's house. The next morning, the front door was open. Jennifer was gone. The police found her house in perfect order. Nothing disturbed. Nothing missing. Except in the bathroom, the one room Jennifer had always avoided, the one room she kept completely mirror-free for 2 decades. Someone had installed a new mirror. A large one. Antique-looking. Framed in brass that had started to tarnish. And written in condensation on that mirror, "The circle is closed." The police investigated. They interviewed neighbors, checked her blog activity, looked through her research. They found something interesting in Jennifer's computer files. A document titled, "If I Disappear." It was a detailed account of everything I've told you plus more. Names, dates, sources, photographs. Everything. The last line of the document read, "If you're reading this, I'm gone. And if I'm gone, you need to know the truth. Mary Sinclair isn't the only one trapped in the mirrors. There are others. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Every person who ever played the game and got too close. Every person who opened the door and couldn't close it. They're all there in the in-between, in the world of reflections. And they're all looking out at us. and they're all so very, very hungry to be real again. Here's what most people don't realize about the Bloody Mary legend. It's not a legend at all. It's a warning. A warning about thin places, about boundaries between worlds, about the danger of treating the supernatural like a game. Every culture has stories about mirrors. The Japanese believe mirrors can trap souls. The Jews cover mirrors during mourning so the soul of the deceased won't get trapped. In Victorian England, they'd cover mirrors in a house where someone died, believing the mirrors could steal the spirit. These aren't just superstitions. They're accumulated wisdom. Knowledge passed down through generations about things we don't fully understand. Mirrors are portals, thin places, and some things on the other side are waiting for us to open the door. Mary Sinclair opened that door in 1952. She crossed over and couldn't come back. And for 70 years she's been collecting others. People who play the game. People who say her name. People who open the door just wide enough for her to reach through. Sarah Mears, Rebecca Chin, Amanda Torres, Jennifer Matthews. For girls who played a game at a sleepover. For girls who thought it was just harmless fun. For girls who learned too late that some games have consequences that last forever. So when you're standing in a bathroom at 3 a.m. and someone suggests playing Bloody Mary, remember this story. Remember Sarah pressing her hand against the inside of the glass, trapped in a world of reflections. Remember Rebecca found drowned in a dry apartment. Remember Amanda walking into a mirror like it was a doorway. Remember Jennifer, who spent 20 years trying to close a door she'd opened as a teenager. And remember that every time you say Bloody Mary in front of a mirror, you're not just playing a game. You're knocking on a door. And something on the other side is waiting to answer. The official police stance on these cases is that they're unrelated. Sarah Mears is listed as a runaway. Rebecca Chen's death was ruled an unexplained medical anomaly. Amanda Torres is a missing person. Jennifer Matthews is another missing person. But in Ravenswood, Illinois, no one plays Bloody Mary anymore. The high school removed all the mirrors from the bathrooms. They use polished metal instead. Doesn't reflect quite right, not enough for something to look through. And if you visit Ravenswood and you ask the older residents about mirrors, they'll tell you something interesting. We don't talk about mirrors after dark. Because in Ravenswood they know. They know what's in the mirrors. They know what's waiting on the other side. They know that Mary Sinclair is still there, still looking, still collecting souls to keep her company in the endless dark of the in-between. And they know that somewhere, in some bathroom, in some house, right now, someone is lighting a candle, turning off the lights and starting to chant, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. And Mary is listening. And Mary is watching. And Mary is so very, very close to coming through. So the next time you're in front of a mirror, ask yourself, is that really your reflection looking back? Or is it something else, wearing your face, waiting for you to look away? My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about the things that look back at us from mirrors. Maybe you should too. If this video helped you understand why some games should never be played, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe. Share this with anyone who needs to hear it. And remember, mirrors aren't just glass. They're doorways. And something on the other side is always watching, always waiting, always hungry. Don't open the door.